In this video, we will study about the carbohydrate. What is carbohydrates? What are types of carbohydrates? Detail about monosaccharide, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides with example. So let's get started. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are broadly defined as polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketones and their derivatives, or a substance that yield one of these compounds. Aldehyde or ketones is known as carbohydrates. Literally, carbohydrates mean hydrates of carbon. Carbohydrate basically composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And the functional groups present within the carbohydrates are hydroxyl group, aldehydic group, and ketonic group. Any words containing end with OSE indicate sugar. Carbohydrates are the most abundant of all organic molecules present in nature. In plants, energy from the sun is used to convert carbon dioxide and water into the carbohydrate to glucose. Many of the glucose molecules are made into long-chain polymer of starch that store energy. About 65% of the food in our diet consists of carbohydrate, and each day we utilize carbohydrate in foods such as bread, pasta, potatoes, and rice. Other carbohydrate called disaccharide, meaning two sugar units, include sucrose, commonly known as table sugar, and lactose in milk. During digestion and cellular metabolism, carbohydrates are converted into glucose, and glucose is further oxidized to release energy in the form of ATP. So they provide the cells with carbon atom for building molecule of protein, lipids, and nucleic acid. And plants, a polymer of glucose called cellulose build the structural framework. Cellulose has other important uses too. The wood in our furniture, the pages in our notebook, and the cotton in our clothing are made up of cellulose. And cellulose is a type of carbohydrates. Function of carbohydrate in cells. Major source of energy for the cell because carbohydrate is converted into glucose and glucose is converted into ATP and ATP is energy currency of the cell. Major structural component of the plant cell, you know that plant cell is made up of cellulose. Immediate energy in the form of glucose, yes, glucose is a type of carbohydrate. Reserved or stored energy in the form of glycogen. You know that glycogen is a complex form of carbohydrate stored in the liver cell as well as in the muscle cell. Classification of carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are classified according to the number of subunits that make of them into three types. We know that there are three types of carbohydrate: monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, and polysaccharide. What is monosaccharide? Monosaccharide are simple sugars are the compound which possess pre-aldehyde or ketone group and two or more hydroxyl groups. Is called monosaccharide. Mono mean one, saccharide means sugar unit. Those carbohydrate which is not further hydrolyzed into smaller or simpler units is known as monosaccharides. Monosaccharide contain a single carbon chain and are classified on the basis of number of carbon atom they possesses. And monosaccharide, their functional group may be either composed of aldehyde known as aldoses or they may be composed of a functional group in the form of ketonic functional group. They are known as ketoses. So depending upon the functional group, they can be either aldoses or ketoses. In this table you can see that those carbohydrates which composed of 3 carbon atom, they are known as triose. 4 carbon atom tetroses, 5 carbon pentoses, and 6 carbon is a hexoses. And their example are present both having aldehydic functional group, they are known as aldoses, and having ketonic functional group, they are known as ketoses. We take the example of triose. So those having aldehyde functional groups are known as glyceraldehyde, 3 carbon containing compound, and those having ketonic functional group, they are known as dihydroxyacetone, which is again 3 carbon containing a compound. Other example of 4 carbon, 5 carbon, 6 carbon is also given for the monosaccharides. The example of monosaccharide is glucose, galactose, and fructose. All they have same molecular formula C6H12O6, but their structures are different. So a molecule having same molecular formula but different structure, they are known as a structural isomerism. So glucose is the essential energy source for all body function. Other name is dextrose and blood sugar, a component of each disaccharide. Yes. Galactose seldom occur freely in nature, binds with glucose to form sugar in milk known as lactose. Once absorbed by the body, galactose is converted to glucose to provide energy. In fructose, you know that the sweetest of all sugar and 1.5 times sweeter than sucrose occur naturally in fruits and honey, the fruit sugar, commonly known as the honey sugar. Stereochemistry. Optical isomers, which is also known as enantiomers, differ from each other in the disposition of the various atom or group of atom in space around the asymmetric carbon atom. These you can see here in this structure that carbon number 2 is a asymmetric carbon. So these are in fact the mirror image of each other. This D-glyceraldehyde and L-glyceraldehyde. They are a mirror image of each other. They may also be like to left and right-handed glues, one from in which hydrogen atom with carbon number 2 is projected to the left side and hydroxyl group to the right side. So is designated as D palm while the other is a L palm. So for example, the glyceraldehyde has only one asymmetric carbon atom numbered as 2 and it can therefore exist in two isomeric form. Oligosaccharide. Oligo means few. Saccharide means sugar units. So those those carbohydrates which composed of 2 to 10 molecules of same or different monosaccharides on hydrolysis is known as oligosaccharide. Accordingly, an oligosaccharide yielding two molecules of monosaccharide on hydrolysis is designated as disaccharide. As the name indicates, disaccharide, di mean two, saccharide means sugar units. Disaccharides are those carbohydrates or those form of oligosaccharide which yield two sugar units. Disaccharide, their example is sucrose, lactose, maltose, cellobiose, trehalose, ginsiobiose, and mallebiose. Trisaccharide composed of 3 sugar unit, tetra, 4 sugar unit, penta, 5 sugar unit, etc. So the molecular composition of 3 legume oligosaccharide, the raffinose, atistichiose, and verbiscose is shown below. Maltose is a type of disaccharide. Upon hydrolysis, it produces 2 sugar units. Lactose is also a disaccharide. Upon hydrolysis, it produces glucose plus galactose. And sucrose is also a type of disaccharide and it produces glucose plus fructose. So disaccharide, as I have told that it composed of 2 monosaccharide units. Cells can make disaccharide by joining two monosaccharide by biosynthesis. For example, glucose and fructose, when they are combined, it forms sucrose. And sucrose is a common table sugar found naturally in plant, in sugarcane, in sugar beet, honey, and maple syrup. Sucrose may be further purified from plant sources into brown, white, and powdered sugars. Glucose plus galactose is equal to lactose, the primary sugar in milk and milk products. Many people have a problem digesting large amount of lactose. So this disease is known as lactose intolerance, or this disorder is known as lactose intolerance. Glucose plus glucose is equal to maltose, produced when starch broken down, used naturally in fermentation reaction of alcohol and beer manufacturing. Their structural formula presents sucrose, lactose, and maltose. Trisaccharide, as I have told that these are those oligosaccharide composed of 3 sugar units. Tetrasaccharide are those of oligosaccharide composed of 4 sugar units. Polysaccharide, as the name indicates, poly mean many, saccharides mean sugar units. These are those carbohydrates upon hydrolysis are they containing 10 or more monosaccharide units attached together. They are known as polysaccharide. Their example is starch, glycogen, and fiber. Here the fiber is indigestible while the starch and glycogens are digestible. So long chain of glucose unit form the polysaccharides. Cellulose gives structure to plants, fiber to our diet. Glycogen is an energy storage sugar produced by an animal. Liver cells synthesize glycogen after a meal to maintain blood glucose level. A great majority of carbohydrates of nature occur as polysaccharides. Chemically, the polysaccharide may be distinguished into homopolysaccharides, which yield homo means same, polysaccharide mean many sugar units on hydrolysis, a single monosaccharide, same type of monosaccharide, and heteropolysaccharides, hetero mean different, which produce a mixture or different of monosaccharide on hydrolysis. So based on their structural aspect, the polysaccharide may be grouped under two heads: digestible nutrient polysaccharide, structural or indigestible polysaccharide. The example of digestible polysaccharide is starch, glycogen, and insulin, while indigestible polysaccharide, their example is cellulose, pectin, and chitin. Types of polysaccharide starch. The major digestible polysaccharide in our diet, the storage form of carbohydrate in nature. Sources where starch is present, it is present in wheat, rice, corn, rye, barley, potatoes, tubers, yams, etc. Two types of plant starch, amylose and amylopectin. We can say that structurally starch composed of amylose and amylopectin. Amylose is a non-branch structure while amylopectin is a branch structure. You clearly see here in the diagram. Amylose is the form of straight chain linked together with alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage containing, we can say indicating 300 to 5,500 glucose unit per molecule. Molecular weight range from 10 power 5 to 10 power 6. Generally, it is water soluble and give blue color with iodine. In amylopectin, as the name indicated, contain besides straight chains, several branched chains which are arranged in alpha 1,4 and beta 1,6 glycosidic linkage unit. One molecule of amylopectin consists of 50,000 to 5 lakh glucose molecule and their molecular weight range from 10 power 7 to 10 power 8. It is insoluble in water and give purple color with a iodine. So this is the difference between amylose and amylopectin. Amylose and amylopectin combine to form the starch. Types of polysaccharide, the second example is cellulose. So cellulose forms cell wall in plant cell, also called fiber or refuge, indigestible by human because cellulase enzyme is not present in the human beings, so it is not digested by the human digestive system. The third types of polysaccharide is the glycogen, the storage form of glucose in the body, stored in the liver in muscle cells, found in tiny amounts in meat sources, not found in plants, not a significant food source of carbohydrate. It may be either branch or unbranched. Concept for carbohydrate, as we know that carbohydrate can be classified as monosaccharide and their example is a glucose, galactose, fructose, and they may be drawn as special projection as well as Haber projection. Form glycosidic bond and disaccharide composed of two sugar units and include maltose and lactose and sucrose. Polysaccharide or polymer of glucose found in plant. Their example is amylose, amylopectin, which is known as starch, and cellulose, and stored in animal as glycogen. Summary of carbohydrate: monosaccharides, disaccharide, polysaccharide. If you like the video, please share, subscribe, and watch. Glucose, some clinical concept about carbohydrate. Glucose is the most important energy source of carbohydrate to the mammals except ruminants. The bulk of dietary carbohydrate starch is digested and finally absorbed as glucose into the body. Dextrose. Glucose in solution in dextrorotatory form is frequently used in medical practice. Fructose is abundantly found in the semen which is utilized by the sperm for energy. So several diseases are associated with carbohydrate. For example, diabetes mellitus, glycogen storage disease called galactosemia. Accumulation of sorbitol and dulcitol in the tissue may cause certain pathological conditions, cataracts and nephropathy. The non-digestible carbohydrate cellulose play a significant role in human nutrition. These include decreasing the intestinal absorption of glucose and cholesterol and increasing bulk of feces to avoid constipation. The mucopolysaccharide hyaluronic acid serve as a lubricant and shock absorbent enzyme. The mucopolysaccharide heparin is anticoagulant, prevent blood clotting. The survival of Antarctic fish below -2 degrees centigrade -2 degree centigrade is attributed to the antifreeze glycoprotein. Streptomycin is a glycoside implied in the treatment of tuberculosis. Please subscribe, share. Thank you.